Welcome back to On the Go Gyaan, your pocket dose of podcast Gyaan. My name is Rohit.
And I am Ajay.
In this episode, we are going to talk about giving feedback. Never am I ever hitting,
Pause.
the exact pause that is there.
Oh, the audio sync up. Arey.
I mean, whenever we do it like a live version of this podcast, it will require a hell lot of practice.
That's okay. Let's not keep it for now. We should be good.
I mean, it's like I have set this as a goal, and I was thinking it should not be that difficult, but I never hit it. So last episode we were talking about circle of feedback.
Yes.
I have no clue how did we come up with that concept. I don't even know if that's a real concept.
It might not be a real concept, but we formulated this full flow from where you start till where you apply that led to the circle.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, there are key role takers in it, and it feels very natural that yes, it's a circle, because it's always that you start on something, you receive feedback on that something, you work on it till the time you say that okay, now I think I'm good at this, and then you again come back and you start on something new.
Yeah, and for this topic of feedback, I think the circle of life or circle of feedback applies a lot, because the ultimate goal is for you to get back to where you started with some improvement, right? So
that's true. I mean, if I think about it, it's more like a spiral where you're moving ahead also, but it like goes in a circular way.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So last episode we talked a lot about how do you take feedback. I think you owe me an answer that how do you give feedback.
True. Last episode, I felt we did not manage time properly. The first and very important feedback as I'm concerned. What do you say to that?
I don't know. It felt very normal to me that I was having a conversation with you and I was not really keeping a tab on time. But then I get the other side of it, that for someone who is not us and is listening to that episode might feel that we are just rambling on and might not be interested in our bicker.
Exactly. And also we had this one other mistake, that we had prepared around 9 or 10 topics to cover in a very short span of time. And when you have a conversation and such a huge amount of topics, it doesn't work well.
That's true. I think it comes back to what we learned in Toastmasters, that if you have 10 points to say and you have only 5 minutes to speak, you better cut down on points rather than trying to speed up.
Precisely. Because speeding up at the end of the day will not look nice. However valuable your points may be or however good your content is, speeding up will not, or is not the answer, I feel.
Right. I feel time is very relative. Now, I don't want to sound like some physics professor, but when I say time is relative, I always feel that if you're having fun or you're really interested in whatever is going on, you really don't feel that time is passing by. You're like, oh, it's just 2 minutes.
Correct.
But if you're getting bored, you'll start looking at your watch and you're like, why is it just 30 seconds?
Correct. I have felt a lot of such things in my life too.
I know that is something like, see, it's in the realm of feedback. It's like, it's an observation point. And you have to understand that, okay, this is an observation point from a very personal perspective. No one is keeping track of every second how many words you're speaking. They're only bothered how interested am I in whatever you're speaking.
Correct. So I think that is the answer to the question that you asked me. Feedback is a personal perspective. It's not just because the time says 30 seconds for me, it could be the same to you. It could be different for you, right?
That's so true. And I remember, like, in this point itself, I got a similar feedback that someone said that for the first episode, time just flew. I wish there was a little more.
Exactly.
You got the other feedback that no, you should keep it somewhere a little shorter than what it was. So it was all personal perspective. Someone was able to relate to the topic, someone might not have related to the topic that well.
At the end of the day, I don't think we should come to the conclusion that this is good and this is bad. Rather, this is how this person feels. Right? I think that will be apt.
That's true, because if I am giving feedback, I'm talking about what I would have liked. I'm not trying to, in fact, I should not try to generalize it and say these are 1,000 people's opinions in one line.
Correct. So that actually brings me to press conferences. Have you ever seen a press conference live? Any such thing?
Not outside movies.
Yeah, so what they commonly have, what the common habit that they have is they stand up and they say, this is what the people want. I don't think that is proper feedback, right?
I don't think so. Press conferences are meant for feedback.
Okay, maybe a bad comparison then.
See, because the whole point behind press conferences, I feel, is to tell that this is where, as a person, as an organization, as a brand, we or I stand.
Correct.
So, but yeah, it will be very weird if, someone just in a press conference goes to a politician and starts giving feedback. I really want to see that happen.
Let's hope you and I get that chance.
No. I don't want that chance for myself, because I know at the end of it that it will land up into a FIR and probably me or you going to jail. So
correct.
Not happening with, at least in the politics, not happening.
We'll keep politics aside for now.
Yeah, I like my life. I want to live a little longer. You would have seen, right? Comedians don't do jokes about politics mostly.
Yes, because at the end of the day, you have to live. That's what matters.
Yeah. But coming back to the personal perspective thing, I have sometimes seen so many people trying to generalize that this is what we feel you should have done. And I am sitting in the room disagreeing with whatever they're saying.
So at that point of time, what is going on in your head? Do you recollect any such thing?
When I'm giving personal perspective?
No, when you're sitting in a room and seeing that there is someone speaking for you, but you don't agree with that point.
To be honest, nothing much, because I know if whoever is speaking or doing something wants my feedback, that person will approach me. And see, I am just one of so many people in the room. There will be, if there are 100 people, there are 100 different perspectives to whatever has happened.
Correct.
So it's like, even if I give my perspective, the other person has to value it.
Yes, and that I think we have talked about a lot, how to take feedback and all those things.
But the important point here is, when I'm giving someone feedback, I first acknowledge and recognize, does the other person really want feedback?
Yeah, no use talking to a rock, right?
That's true, because if the other person does not want it, then no matter how great your feedback is, the other person will not even pay attention to it.
So this, I think, brings down to the concepts of what you should not cover in a feedback while giving one.
I don't know. See, first of all, you should understand the objective of the feedback.
What is the person looking for?
That's true. And why you're actually giving feedback. Now, that could be something very specific to what has happened. Or sometimes I've even seen people starting conversations by feedback.
Hey, I like this. And that is how you build up a conversation, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that becomes like an icebreaker for you between the speaker.
Exactly. And finally, by the time you get to the point of saying what you don't like, I think you have found a very subtle way to put it.
That's true. And you also make the person interested in your feedback.
So I think all of this boils down to some structure for giving feedback. Do you see so?
There definitely should be, because if I'm looking at, like, if I remove all these a little side objectives of giving feedback, like starting a conversation. The whole objective behind feedback, I feel, is to first of all tell something that really helps the person improve. And the second, and actually the more important one than the first, is that the person should not feel dejected or discouraged. The person should feel motivated that no, I have to do this again.
Yeah, until you want to suppress the person, I think your objective is to motivate the person. Right?
That's so true, because I've got such feedback from people, and I have really felt discouraged to even do it again.
Oh my.
So I mean, okay, as a person, that's up to me to take it or not. But then even using those words and everything really sometimes makes you feel discouraged.
Yeah. So I can connect this back to my Toastmasters life where I used to get feedback a lot for my speeches. And I think the terminology used there is called evaluation, if I'm not wrong.
Right.
Is it the same as feedback?
So actually, the outcome of evaluation is feedback, if I have to put it in a raw way, because evaluation is like you're gathering all the data points, and feedback is what actually you return back after gathering all the data points and making a story out of it.
Got it. So the outcome of evaluation is feedback. Nice.
Right. So, for example, when you go to your driving test, they'll evaluate you on your skills. The outcome of that evaluation obviously is that either
you
you get
good?
the license or you
Yeah.
don't get it.
Correct.
But in general, that is what the outcome is, basically feedback.
Exactly. I think this applies to a simple examination. Like they evaluate you to tell you your performance, which is feedback, right?
Right. I think the most common place where I've seen this, at least before Toastmasters, was when I would be learning to play the keyboard. My teacher would actually look at how are my fingers moving on the board, and then see where all I'm making a mistake. Those things were the observation points, and then he would give me a feedback on, okay, how should you improve?
I can actually relate this to a lot more of life scenarios like riding a bicycle or riding a car. Any such thing has this mechanism embedded in it.
I mean, I should say that if your parents are giving you feedback on your driving, that's the most annoying thing that has ever happened to me. I just hope my parents don't listen to this, but yeah.
I do agree with that, but I don't want to comment further on that.
I mean, it sort of irritates me a little when my dad is saying few things and I'm driving, and it really sometimes pisses me off.
Okay, see.
But then that's a form of feedback, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually relate 200% to that, and what I call that is side seat driving. So whenever I drive, I tell my dad no side seat driving, and I put him to the back seat. So simple as that.
But then, yeah, that's what is a sort of difference between evaluation and feedback. That's what I look at it, and that's how evaluation is the pre-step to feedback. So you first have to learn how to evaluate all the data points that you're getting, and then you give feedback. Because it's like if you ask me to evaluate the performance of probably a finance ledger, I cannot give any feedback because I don't know how to evaluate it.
So evaluation is the key to feedback.
Right. Feedback is just, you're just making it look pretty and you're telling it to the person. But evaluation is actually the key thing here, that you have to learn different aspects of whatever is happening. Let's say it's playing guitar. You have to learn how do you play guitar so that you can evaluate someone else playing it.
Correct. And I think the platform of Toastmasters, which I have to refer to here, teaches a lot about this art of evaluation. If I have to
That's so true.
maybe summarize or quickly share, I think it teaches you how you note down what the speaker or what someone has to be evaluated on, and then it tells you how to put them in a very nice way, molded around so that they feel motivated, right?
That's true. The word actually in Toastmasters that is used is evaluate to motivate. And that really fits so perfectly that if you give someone feedback and that person really does not want to come back and say anything, your purpose of feedback is defeated.
Correct. So it's like positive reinforcements, right? One other commonly used word.
That's true. Okay, you tell me this. While evaluating speeches in Toastmasters, what's the one most important thing that you're usually looking for?
I am looking for what or where does the speaker explicitly have something to improve on, which he or she might not have thought about.
That makes sense, but is there like a template that you follow, or is it that you're just listening to it and something you feel strongly about, that's what you're trying to speak up?
Yeah. So what I try to do is I try to split it up into two things. Like what the speaker has done, something good that people might or might not recognize, which needs to be called out. And then similarly, what needs to be called out that the speaker can improve. So, I mean, I don't have a very proper format like this is how you should note it down, but it comes to me on the fly. And when presenting is when I think the most importance is to be given to the speaker.
That's true, because the way you're giving the feedback can make or break the entire evaluation that you've done.
Exactly.
I sometimes feel people are good at evaluating, it's just that they're not able to put it down in a format that they want to express it back. Whether it's Toastmaster, whether it's anywhere, even sometimes managers don't give feedback in the right way. Obviously, they know how to evaluate, but it's just that when they come to you to speak, suddenly their evaluation, their feedback becomes something else.
Or I should say the choice of words.
That's true, because that's what the choice of words actually either motivate the person you're giving the feedback to or demotivates.
Maybe I can give a very simple example to understand if I'm getting it right. Let's say you boil hot water. If someone comes and tells you, oh, the water is too hot, that's not the right way that you will want it. But if someone comes and tells you, hey, can you make this a little colder? I think that's a better way of saying it, right?
And just saying that statement, if you come to me and say the water is too hot, I'll be like, you better do it yourself.
Yeah.
But if you say that, can you please make the water a little colder? I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, even that has an action item coupled to it, right? Nice.
So it's about the tone, it's about the words that you're using, it's about what exactly you are speaking about. There's so many things to it. But then I feel if you ask me to write it on a piece of paper, I'll do it fine. It's just that when I come to telling it to someone, I get a little wobbly.
Like how will they take it and all those things, right?
Yeah, there are different dimensions to it that just get added, and I feel it's not needed.
They're better off not knowing it, yeah.
And what I've seen a lot of the times, and it happened with me also initially, was I always felt feedback is like I am the representative and I have to give you this. No. When you start thinking that it's very personal, it suddenly becomes more natural and you don't feel so much of a pressure.
So you need to get attached to the person before you tell something.
Yeah. If you suddenly put so much of responsibility on your shoulders that you should be politically and motivationally and evaluation should be correct for 1,000 people, suddenly you'll feel like, okay, there is too much of pressure for me to be right. But there is nothing like right in such things.
Instead, take a friendly advice and give the person some friendly tips is, I think, a better way of putting it.
That's true. I think you should not try to prescribe something to someone. It's more about, this is what I felt, this is how I feel, you can improve it. Now it's up to you what you want to do with it.
Right. Nice.
So Ajay, there are few things that I learned in Toastmasters and I really want your opinion on this. And these might sound like jargons, but just help us understand what these means. I mean, obviously I know these terms, but let's try and define what they are and what you should do about them. So the first thing is whitewashing.
Okay. Whitewashing, I think, is a set of things that you're not meant to say. Or is that blackwashing? Sorry, did I confuse you?
That's actually the other way around.
The other way
So
around,
the two
right?
words are actually whitewashing and blackwashing. Whitewashing is everything, you say everything that is good. You don't cover any points of improvement and you're just flattering the person with your feedback.
Okay, so it's like talking about the things that you think were good.
Right.
And on the other hand, blackwashing is talking about the things that you feel are not good, but not in a very open way, or not in a very like, hey, I didn't like this. Hey, you should not do this, right?
That's true, because you're only focusing on the points that were not good and you're not putting it like an improvement. You're just saying these are not good.
Okay, maybe I will think of a simple sentence construct to demonstrate this. Instead of saying, hey Rohit, I don't like your background noise, I say, hey Rohit, it would be better and I would like your audio more if you try to turn off your background noise.
That's I think the middle ground of whitewashing and blackwashing, because you are mentioning that okay, this is something that was not good, but then you're putting it like an improvement point.
Okay. So what would be the best case scenario then?
I think this is the best case scenario, because if you are just telling me the things that I was really good at and you don't give me an improvement point, I might not come back to you for any more feedback. On the other hand, if you only do blackwashing and you don't give me any good points, I might feel so demotivated that I'll never do the thing again.
So it's about finding the right balance between both the whitewashing and blackwashing.
That's true. Whitewashing is directly proportional to the motivation that you give to the person. Blackwashing is completely the opposite.
Right.
I think we can say that the best technique is somewhere between blackwashing and whitewashing. But I have sometimes used whitewashing and I've sometimes used blackwashing.
Okay, and both of these do seem to work out good for you?
Yeah, it has actually worked for me, because consider this scenario. If in Toastmasters, like, we have the first speech where someone who has never seen a stage and is trying to speak and sort of gives his or her first speech,
Like an icebreaker?
Like an icebreaker, the person might not be actually looking for an improvement point. For that person, the achievement is that the person has given a speech. And in that scenario, whitewashing really, really helps, because the whole purpose of the feedback in that moment is to motivate the person.
You're not looking for anything else. It's just that you want them to keep doing it, coming back to the stage, right?
That's true. So the only improvement point that you might put is keep doing it again and again. But everything else apart from that as a feedback is just good things.
Right.
And on the other side, blackwashing I've used with my mentees. When I have literally seen one of my mentees not do well, and I've literally blackwashed them. But it has worked only because I knew that the person will take that feedback in a positive way.
Like, again, comes down to the relationship you have with them. Since you have a good one, it's good. Yeah.
That's true. If I give something like a blackwashing to you, it might motivate you to redo it and do it better.
But not to someone you've met for the first time or second time, or you hardly know them.
Yeah. Those things have actually backfired on me also at times. But we'll probably rant on it in a different episode.
So, I think we are done with the topic of giving feedback. We'll conclude this episode. We really hope you take the time to leave us a review in your favorite podcast app. Get in touch with us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or your favorite app. In the next one, we'll be talking about BC.
Wait, what is BC?
Wait until the next episode and I'll tell you what BC is. Until then, stay indoors, keep your distance.